growing up, I wouldn't say I faced too many challenges, but definitely an intense focus on athletics kind of molded who I am, right? Like, I don't feel that I have a strong purpose or direction in my life unless I'm focused on an athletic task.
You know, working in a warehouse all the time and being a creator, it's like, as a creator, our biggest asset is not the cameras.
Yeah.
It's our mind.
It's your mind,
And when you're constantly surrounding yourself around things that don't make you happy, it's so hard to create the things you want to create.
It's everybody's biggest asset. So we're live, another episode of Adversity Kings. We have special guest today. Introduce your guys' selves.
My name's Angelo Marr.
Angelo Marr.
Tyler Jones.
Tyler Jones. Okay, awesome. So, Tyler, you are in pursuit of professional fighting career, right?
Yep.
And still, do you have your pro card yet? Or
No, not yet.
Okay.
This is going to be my last amateur fight.
last amateur fight. So how many amateur fights?
I've had 6. I'm 4-2 right now.
4-2?
Yeah.
Okay. And then how were the finishes?
Finishes, 2 submissions, and then 2 decisions. Yeah.
What were the submissions?
Triangle and armbar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. What's your go-to?
Triangle is something that I play a lot for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to. My fighting style is mainly like in grappling. It's mainly to be on top and just pressure the crap out of somebody and make them give me something. But in that fight in particular, I was in some trouble against a good wrestler and found a triangle. So
that's like watching the grappling last night, the jiu-jitsu last night. If you saw Dan, I don't know, the jiu-jitsu giant.
Yeah. That purple belt.
Yeah, or you do like the bitch chokes.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking. I like doing that, just especially being I guess fresher in jiu-jitsu, where I don't have a lot of I'm good at positioning right now, but I don't find myself being good at immediately seeing submissions. And if I do, I probably really show that I'm looking for that submission. If I'm looking for an armbar, you're probably gonna know 2 minutes in advance. So if I do get top mount, I'm always looking to just pressure choke. I've gotten probably 2 or 3 pressure taps. And but the way the announcer must have, I don't know if he just didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, but he was like, I think he got him in a rear neck crank, and I was like,
a rear neck crank.
I was like, what, dude? This doesn't. I was like, it doesn't look like a rear neck crank. He was just pressuring.
One of the guys that was commentating, Brandon McCatherine, he's a 10th Planet guy, and he's sick on YouTube. He's got so much good stuff, and he's got something called a punch choke. Yeah. From Mount, and it's real nasty, and everyone thinks it's a crank, but he uses what he calls the cat paw, which is the outside part of his hand, and he shoves it in, and it's all blood. Yeah. And I've showed it in class a couple times, and it's real legit, dude. It's quick. Yeah. But yeah, I just like to.
Is it kind of like a gi choke where you put that fist in?
Yeah. It's like that, except he he puts this in the side, and then the shoulder he uses almost like he's finishing a Von Flue. Okay. So you're getting both sides cut off, and you just run out of air real quick, run out of blood too.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun. So how'd the two of you meet?
Well, we met through I shot one of his main events at Joe's Live, and I'm good friends with his girlfriend, so we just met up, and we've just been working together ever since.
How long you guys been working together then?
About a year and a half now, right? Yeah.
And you guys have put together a lot of stuff. I see you guys have a pretty good campaign and a lot of content you guys have put together.
Yeah, we're actually working on a documentary as well.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the reasons we wanted to get together as quickly as we are and put this together to kind of put into the documentary, I assume, in some shape or form.
Yeah, for sure.
So what about your stories? Let's start with, where were you born and raised? What kind of influenced you to get into fighting and all that?
Yeah, so born and raised in Schiller Park, Illinois, so right by O'Hare Airport. Always placed importance on athletics in my life. Grew up playing baseball, basketball, anything I could do, I would try. I would give it a shot. And then when I was in middle school, my brother was really into The Ultimate Fighter. My brother's quite a bit older than me, 5 or 6 years. Yeah. And we were big WWE guys when we were growing up, right? WWF back then. And he had said, dude, you should watch this. I think you'll like it. The Ultimate Fighter 1, season 1. And I started getting into the stories, and then the finale was Stephen Bonner and Forrest Griffin, and they just fucking went to town on each other for 3 rounds. And I remember watching that at 11 or 12 years old, and like, man, that's what I'm going to do.
Was that No Holds Bar?
No, it was one of their...
Where anything goes?
No, there were still same rules as today, but it was their first big show, big break.
I think there was like no hold bar matches prior to those matches.
Yeah.
Where they could like punch each other in the nuts.
Yeah, like UFC like 1 through like 10, I think were pretty open ended. Like you could do whatever you want.
You could do whatever. Like, and I was when I was telling you I had Jeff Serafin on, and he was talking about like no hold bar matches he participated in, and like even like similar jiu-jitsu matches where it's like early day jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
They're like, what? Like, it's just whatever makes you tap.
Right. Vale Tudo is what they called it back then.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I think Vale Tudo means like anything goes in Portuguese. Or I'm talking out of my ass.
No,
I might be. I might be. But yeah, I started watching that and I knew that's what I wanted to do. So from then on, I just kind of committed my life to be a martial artist. I started wrestling in high school, ended up wrestling in college. Took some time in between college and I only started training jiu-jitsu and fighting 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So I wrestled, took a break, and then started training.
Yeah.
And then from there, I've just kind of hit the ground running, and now we're here about to make our LFA debut next month.
How beneficial is it to have that wrestling background?
It's huge, man. It's huge. And especially for me, I feel like I'm almost like a special case scenario because I knew I wanted to get into fighting before I started wrestling. Like a lot of these guys started wrestling all through childhood and then got into fighting.
Yeah.
But I knew I wanted to fight and do jiu-jitsu already. So I based what I wanted to like focus on in wrestling around what would work in MMA.
That's like Bo Nickel.
Right.
So I'm from Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
And I wrestled a year or two out there. My like 8th grade year, I remember wrestling out there. And wrestling in Western Pennsylvania is insane. And then some guys will go wrestle at Penn State. But I remember watching, Bo Nickel go all the way through Penn State. Was he a 4-time or... At least he had been a 2-time national champ.
Yeah, 2 times at least. He might have been all 4.
But he's transitioned. I think he's in the UFC.
Yeah, he won his Contender Series fights, and the first fight he had was against the guy who was I'm sure he was good. They put him on there for a reason. But he dealt with the guy real quick, and then the second guy they had him fight was a Cage Fury champion, and like had a real big record, like a legit dude. And Bo dropped him in the first 10 seconds, and then got him in a triangle from mount and then pulled guard with it and finished it like within a minute.
Wow.
Like he's so much better than anyone they're going to throw him up against right now.
I think wrestling is like an automatic, a sufficient wrestler is like an automatic blue belt. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, for sure. But then like sometimes, especially it's funny in the gi, like you'll go against a guy who has pure wrestling. It's like his first week there, and they're almost like lost. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
The gi really helps like slow things down, but that really pressure, man, that pressure helps. It gets you a head start for sure.
Absolutely. So, growing up, was there any like challenges or adversities that kind of molded you into the person you are today?
I don't know. Growing up, I wouldn't say I faced too many challenges, but definitely an intense focus on athletics kind of molded who I am, right? Like, I don't feel that I have a strong purpose or direction in my life unless I'm focused on an athletic task. Like, I've placed so much importance on athletics over the course of my life that now it feels a necessity.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of adversity, it was the time that I really switched was in between getting done with wrestling and starting fighting. There was about a year and a half there where I was in college, and which I would say probably the hardest time of my life.
Identity searching because you didn't have a physical
outlet. You don't really hear people say like, "Oh, I was in college. That was the hardest time of my life." Usually, that's like the most fun part of your life, right? But in reality, I was just drinking, unhappy, and really no compass of where I wanted to go. And I started like dabbling in martial arts a little bit, tore my knee up, had surgery, and I was stuck in a cast for like over a month. It was bad.
What did you do to the knee?
I don't even know, dude. So I had a bunch of like bursitis and stuff, like the sacs that fill up in your knee. They were all like deflated and damaged. And then I got staph in the knee as well. Inside the knee. So my knee was like a balloon, dude.
Yeah.
So they just opened it up. They took everything out. I don't have any like more bursaps in my knee. So there's just like bone on bone in there.
Yeah.
And, but I remember like being stuck in the brace and thinking, if I'm going to fight or if I'm going to do anything with this, the time is now. Like once I get this off, I have to move forward and go.
Yeah.
And since then, that's been kind of my direction in life, is hit the pavement running.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Angelo? Born, raised, what was childhood like?
I was born in Park Forest, Illinois. I grew up just like any other kid. Like I wanted to create stories.
Yeah.
I always wrote poetry, wrote short little stories when I was a kid growing up. But, you know, growing up in a society where, like, that wasn't very, like that wasn't classified as a job.
Yeah.
You know, my parents said, you know, be a cop, be a doctor, be a, you know, a blue collar, as you will, whole life. So growing up, you know, I always was told what to do. I never had a chance to be like, hey, let me just be who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I wasn't accepted as that. So I think I want to say I wanted to start creating like as photography. Yeah. 2015. 2015, I started doing photography, started shooting more, started working with people. And then like 2 years after that, 2017, I decided like I need to quit this job. Because I was working, doing photography gigs, editing, working 60 to 70 hours a week at warehouses every day.
Yeah, what kind of warehouses?
Like steel mill, I did everything.
Yeah, I worked at UPS in my high school years. Yeah,
I worked at UPS, I worked for Amazon, I worked for steel mill, I worked for construction, demolition.
Dude, there's nothing worse than loading a 53-foot trailer all day.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing worse.
Third shift, I'm a different person.
Yeah.
I don't like to talk to nobody. So, you know, you live that NPC life where I'm just like, when I used to go to work, I do this thing where I shut my brain off.
Yeah.
Like I'm on autopilot the whole time. I'm thinking about, you know, creating stuff, but my body's moving and moving and moving. But sooner or later that catches up to you, and you know you're bodily fatigued the whole time. And I realized, like, I have friends like, dude, are you happy? I said, nah. Yeah. I'm not happy. So I burned the ships. I said I can't do both right now.
That's so good. So have you read Think and Grow Rich?
Huh?
Have you read the book Think and Grow Rich?
No, I have not.
Oh, okay. That's a quote from Napoleon Hill. There's a book back here I read, Think and Grow Rich, and it's in reference to success. An individual that desires to be successful truly will never be successful until they burn the ships that they could retreat back to. So in life, you know what I mean? You'll hear so many times. I'm guessing, so do you film mainly in the fighting niche, or do you do anything?
I'm mainly brand, sports, fitness.
Okay, so you've probably seen fighters because they've definitely adopted that quote. You know what I mean? Nothing's new under the sun. You'll hear fighters like there was a big one this past year. There's no tomorrow. You'll see from the Rocky 3 where Creed's training Rocky to fight. What the fuck was the other black dude's name? But they're training to fight and they're going nuts.
Mr. T.
Mr. T.
It was some
Clubber and he's screaming at Clubber Lang. Yeah.
Cassius Clay is Muhammad Ali.
Clubber Lang, not Cassius Clay.
But
he's screaming at him. He's like, "There's no tomorrow. There's no tomorrow." But you'll hear fighters say like, "Burn the ships at the bay." And running a sales company, I mean, I probably say that every other day. You know what I mean?
I think that mindset I don't really recommend for some people, but when you do, like, you have to lock in.
Yeah.
Like I used to tell people all the time, like, I chose to do that because I had no other choice.
Yeah.
Like, living both those lives, you know, working in a warehouse all the time and being a creator, it's like, as a creator, our biggest asset is not the cameras.
Yeah.
It's our mind.
It's your mind, right.
And when you're constantly surrounding yourself around things that don't make you happy, it's so hard to create the things you want to create.
It's everybody's biggest asset. I don't even think just creators. And I honestly, I kind of disagree because I think, you know, with burning the ships, I think everybody does it. It's just, are you going to choose the ships you want to burn? Because you're either going to burn the ships with your dreams on it, or you're going to burn the ships that are going to leave you in mediocrity and living a life that's saying the world, like society was telling you to live. Right. Go be a cop. Like there's ships that say college, cop, you know what I mean? You can't fight, your knees blown out. You know what I mean? It's like you can burn those ships, or you can burn your ships that say you're going to be a world champion. You're going to be the greatest, you know, photographer there ever was. And it's like you choose. You know what I mean? So it's like essentially everybody's burning the ships. It's just which ones are you going to burn?
And that's the thing too. Like especially with fighters, you hear a lot of fighters. I know this is the way that I live my life. There is no plan B. I don't fucking have a plan B because
if you step in that ring with a plan B, you're gonna get your head blown off.
It's very fucking easy to choose plan B.
Oh my God.
Always, right? Like if I have work in my office job, you know, I still have a full-time job. I still work in an office and shit, but it's a means to an end. It's always, right? That's not my goal. But if I walk into every day in practice knowing, like, it's okay. If I don't make it as a fighter, I could just work as my office job.
No,
I'm not going to make it as a fighter. 100%, bro. You can't. Your brain's going to easily choose the easy option. You know?
It's not an option.
No plan B.
There's some Dagestanian that's like,
you
know, living with sheep. You know what I mean? Just wrestling bears all day. It's like, no, I'm not stepping in a ring. No, it's like watching Gordon's fight the other day. I was like, I've been watching because I really don't study any other material because I'm like, I barely have much time for jiu-jitsu. I probably train, in comparison to the individuals I want to be beating, I think I train Monday, Wednesday, Friday twice, I want to say it is. Yeah, twice, and then Tuesday, Thursday I'll train once. So I'm probably training 7 to 10 times a week. You know what I mean? So 7 or 10 hours a week when like really good grapplers, really good fighters, you're talking about 60 hours or something. I got
a full-time job?
it's a full-time job. I got a buddy in Bellator. His name's Dalton Rossa. He's 8-0. He just won his fight just a couple days ago. And he fights at what's that fight team or something down in Miami? Or American Top Team.
Yeah, ATT.
Yeah, American Top Team. And I mean, he's like it's 2, 3, 4 workouts a day. It's like he's up early, 2-hour workout, 2-hour workout, 2-hour workout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe a half hour, an hour in between. It's like, dude, you're talking about 6, 8 hours of just pure training sessions, 7 days a week. And I'm like, somebody out. It's like, and me myself, even though it's like I'm 99%, 100%, building a business. It's like that 1% I do allocate to jiu-jitsu. It's like I'm not there trying to beat the white belts. I want to go to like the highest belt. It's like how do I choke you out? And it's like that's why it's like with watching Gordon, I watched him this past month, and I'm just thinking to myself, it's like, I don't know, dude. It's kind of giving me that Rocky vibe where was it Rocky 2 or something, where he makes some money and then he's living off his money. You see it with people in general. It's not just fighting, but they'll make a couple bucks, kind of like that Conor McGregor story. It's like you go from that starving Irish kid that's just ripping heads off, making a bunch of money on yachts, getting in trouble, just start training in a bougie-ass facility, and then you get your head, ripped off by a Dagestanian warrior bear. You know what I mean? And it's like, that match with Nicky Rod looked a little close. And this last month, you got Hawaii, Gordon's in Hawaii, taking trips and bougie facilities and vlogs. And it's like, I don't know, dude. Remember, it's like, what got you to where you're at?
Got full.
Yeah.
Can't get full.
It got real close. I didn't even see I saw the highlight of the rear neck, but I didn't know. It's like, man, I don't know. You come in my office and you tap, time or not, it's like, we're calling that a tap.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, Marvin Hagler's got a great quote about that. It's hard to wake up in the morning and run your miles when you're sleeping in satin sheets.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what it is, dude. Like, if you ever get fucking complacent in anything, especially in fighting, it's so easy to just, like, let it go. That happened to me. I'm coming off of 2 back-to-back losses.
Yeah.
Right? Where before I was feeling, like, unbeatable, untouchable, right? And you get complacent and you start to think, like, there's no way they're going to put me in this position. And then all of a sudden you're in this position in a fight. Fuck, can't believe I'm here, right? You get complacent and things start to slip.
From watching the film from those losses, what were your gaps that you noticed?
So in the first loss I took, I think there's a general theme around both of them of just not being mentally there for both of them. And that's been primarily the work I've put in this camp, I would say, or the things that I felt like I made the most jumps on is my mentality. But yeah, the first loss, I didn't really show up to the fight until the 3rd round, and then the 3rd round I almost finished him. I think had we been in, pro time period of the round, so 5 minutes as opposed to 3 minutes, I think I would have got the finish because I had him in an arm bar. It was like spider web. It was real close to being finished, and time just ran out.
Yeah.
That was that fight. I just lost decision. That fight was close. He won the 2nd round handedly. I won the 3rd round handedly. 1st round was kind of up in the air. He was a little more aggressive, so he took it, and then he ended up winning the fight. So, I mean, that's how close it could be, too, especially in 3 minutes, dude. Amateur rounds are only 3 minutes. There's, someone gets a control for 30 seconds. That's a huge chunk of the round. 30 seconds is a long time. And then the last fight, I literally walked out there just waiting for it to be over. And that's how I fought. I fought like I just rushed everything. I don't even know how to explain the mind state I was in. It was just kind of sheltered. Like, I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to fight. I just wanted the event experience to be over.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think maybe I was a little burnt out, or maybe I just had put so much work in to get, it was my first fight at 55, and I think I put so much work into getting to 55 that once I made that weight, it was like, all right, and that was the challenge, and it wasn't the fight,
What do you walk around at?
Like 80s, 85, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a drastic weight cut.
Yeah, it's big. I'm a big 55er, but I work with Dustin Poirier's nutritionist, Eric Pena.
Yeah.
And he is really good. He really knows his shit, and he gets you down.
Is it a lot of like no carbs?
It's very low carb. It's like high protein, low carb. That's what I'm on right now.
Like
right now I'm at like 74. I'm waking up at. So we're getting to the nitty gritty. The fight's on the 13th of January. So I like to just set markers. Like I've set benchmarks to hit by certain times. I already hit my first benchmark, was 75 before Christmas, and now I'm gonna try and get to 70 before New Year's Day, and then if I can get to 65 or like 67 the week of the fight, that's a piece of cake. 13 pounds in 1 week is a piece of cake.
For real?
Yeah, because like the way fight week is you're cutting out all the sodium, right? So you're not going to be retaining any water, and you're water loading. So like the first Monday and Tuesday of fight week, if you're fighting on Saturday, let's say you're drinking like 2+ gallons of water. And then Wednesday you're drinking like a gallon. And then Thursday you're drinking a liter. And you're tricking your body into thinking that it's about to get that 2 gallons of water still, all while you've cut out all of the sodium in your diet. You're not getting a gram of sodium. Maybe there might be some natural sodium in there somewhere. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But in the middle of the week, you cut out sodium. So let's say Wednesday you cut out sodium. So now your body's just letting go of all the water. And by the time you get to the sauna on Thursday or Friday morning to cut weight, your body's just expelling water. And you can get out 10 pounds easy.
Jesus.
Easy. But even the dieting, right? Like you're on like a heavy calorie restriction the week of already, right? With no sodium, and like, food doesn't taste good without sodium. So you don't really want to eat it anyway.
I'd be so mad.
Yeah, dude, it's horrible. Like ground turkey without any seasoning.
Yeah, I just had ground turkey
it.
yesterday. Ugh. With hot sauce.
Disgusting. See, that's
salt.
okay, bro.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But fucking without it, bro, you're like chopping up like fucking cilantro, putting it in there, seeing if that helps out.
You're not even eating for taste. You're just eating for
You're just eating from fuel, bro.
Yeah, fuel for the war.
Right.
That's nuts. So, what else do you do in regard to just preparing for fights, like recovery, different things like that?
So
cold tubs or anything like that?
Yeah. I work with a strength and conditioning coach, Tyler LaRosa. He's with MSF Performance in Glenview, and he is real good with both recovery and working out. So our sessions are like an hour and a half long, and when we kind of hit 2 in 1, right? So he's stretching me out. I have a stretch plan that I do every day, and then he's doing like the Normatec boots with the leg compressions. He's cupping me. He's doing all that stuff, and then I work with a chiropractor as well, Dr. Wallace at Cumberland Chiropractic in Norwich, and he's giving me adjustments and stuff to kind of line me up. But yeah, I mean, like we talked about earlier with your guy from Bellator, when you get to that level, you're training all day, and that is your job. That's your number one job.
Yeah.
You have time to squeeze in recovery the way it should be throughout the day and stuff. For me, I work a full-time job, and I train, and I teach. So like my recovery, I gotta find time for recovery, right?
Yeah.
And that's tough, And a lot of times as fighters, like especially when we get close to fights, it's hard to take a day off because you're thinking to yourself, man, if I take a day off today and my guy's in the gym, that's another day that he's got in the bag on me.
Yeah.
So it's hard to step back and get the recovery, but recovery is one of the most important things that we can do as athletes. That's what's really going to allow us to have that longevity in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Angelo, what about for your career? Are you full-time videographer, film?
So I full-time create content marketing.
Okay.
So my mainly job is to I wanted the same thing we talked about, combat sports.
Yeah.
So right now I've been trying to work with fighters like Tyler. And it's like, I try to explain to them all the time, a lot of young amateur fighters, some think that these low-end local promoters are going to put them on a spot. I asked them, what is your goal? I want to fight for the UFC. Obviously, a lot of them want to fight for the UFC. UFC does not promote fighters. They promote fights.
Yeah.
So your job as a fighter is not, like you say, it's a full-time job. Your job is to promote yourself as a brand.
Yeah.
Your name is a brand, and your body that you're capable of fighting is your product.
Yeah.
If you're not showing people how to market yourself, it's one thing to be creditable to win matches, but not to be marketable. One guy.
The best fighter won't get paid nearly as much as the best marketed fighter.
No, it won't. Look at, for example, McGregor.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's the best fighter of all time. But he's marketable. He's a money fight.
Yeah.
He sells fights, and that's why they hire him. And I tell fighters all the time, every time you step into the cage, have the mentality is that this has to be a money fight.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I get you love fighting, you enjoy it, but you understand this sport is very dangerous.
Yeah, you better sell yourself.
You know, you're going to war with someone that you don't even know, and it's always a 50-50. You go in there, 50% chance you might not make it out.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to not only enjoy life, but, you know, enjoy what you're doing. You know, like people try to compare combat sports to other sports like NFL, NBA. It's nothing like that. These guys are getting paid to play. You're not getting paid to. You're not getting paid to play. You're not playing with nobody. You're fighting.
Yeah.
So you have to put it in perspective. Like when I'm training when I go train, when you're first starting out, is you're like 8. Let's say you graduate from college, and you want to. You know, there's no like draft. There's nothing. No UFC's not drafting you up. Say, hey, I want this guy, and this guy. You get a contract for $100 million to fight for us for the whole year.
Yeah.
You don't do that. You don't have that luxury. So you invest yourself with the gym that's going to put you in great fights, that's going to take care of you, not treat you like cattle. A lot of these promoters, like I've been in the industry working with fighters, promoters for like 3 to 4 years now. And what I've learned is a lot of promoters, not a lot, but a good majority of them see as these fighters as cattle. You know, they're just like, man, I'm just trying to get paid. You don't care what happens to you. Some of these pros don't care about these fighters. Some of these managers don't care about these fighters. I'm hearing stories that they're taking over 50% of a fighter's cut. And I'm thinking that's absurd. Now this fighter has to not only pay you, but he also has to work a full-time job and compete. That's a lot of work. Tyler just said, I don't have enough time for recovery. So as a creator, my job is to help him give more of his brand. So then he doesn't have to work so much. So he can focus on training. So now when he steps into the UFC, he's able to take care of himself. Mm-hmm. He's able to have the insurance. When you're a local fighter, amateur, you don't got insurance. You fuck up your arm, you're done. The only insurance you got is whatever you got. You know, these promoters are not helping you for that. The manager's not helping you. I mean, the gyms, they can only do so much.
Yeah.
You know, they're catering to other fighters. So I tell fighters all the time, you have to promote yourself. You have to dedicate time to like not only just don't go to a promotion at the end of the day, they're going to take care of you. See what numbers that they're doing. See how many views that they're getting per event. Because the thing is, you have to say, am I going to invest myself with this fight? Also, for example, let's say you go out of state. It's so easy for you to get ticket sales when you're in your local town, but when you go outside the state, no one knows you're the bad guy. So how are you going to be able to market yourself outside the state and be able to have more eyes on you? Because you can have fans in Florida, California, Texas, Arizona, but no one knows you if you just go to a fight. Because I have a friend in the UFC, Dan Argueta, really great guy. I learned so much from him talking to him. He tells me, after a fighter competes, after you win the fight, guess what? Everyone forgets about you.
Yeah.
No one knows. They worry about the next fight. But to keep them intrigued on you is your brand and who you are. That's why social media is so important. That's why having a great Instagram profile is so important. Hiring someone to not only capture your training, capture your prep, capture your fights, you know. And I get it. I talk to a lot of these young fighters. They don't have the money to hire someone like me, and I get it. So what I try to do is I tell other creators, if you want to work with a fighter, you want to work with promotion, don't just come in there saying I got a camera, because unfortunately some of these promotions and some of these businesses see as a photography as a commodity. Mm. You know, they try to compare it to let's say you're a family trying to go to JCPenney trying to get like family photos. Do you see any return investment on those? No. You just go in there and get a family photo. But for a big brand like yourself, your insurance company, if you're trying to hire someone to do marketing for you, do content creation, you're looking for a return investment. You're looking to say, if I hire you, I'm expecting to get a return out of this, not just for like keep it up with the Joneses. You don't want to have that mentality where, oh, well, Nike does this, so I'm going to do it. Well, why is Nike doing this? they're not just putting content out just to put content out to stay relevant. They're putting content out to outreach to their dedicated clientele, to their customer. So I tell the exact same thing to fighters, like, you need to have a personality. You can't just go in there mean mugging, fighting people, win fights, and that's it. You know, there's killers out there. I've seen it. I've seen killers out there, but they don't know how to market themselves. And they always sitting there, they got over like 30 fights. And they're like, man, I still haven't got where I wanted to be, because you're not giving a reason why people want to see you fight.
Yeah.
And it has to be outside the cage, not just in it. You know, you can win fights and knock heads off, but if a sponsor or a brand can't market you, they're not going to want to invest their time with you, because you are a product. And you have to treat yourself as $1 million brand.
It's like that Mike Tyson where he was in the ring. I don't know who he had just beat up, but he just starts going off, and he's like, my defense is impregnable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you gotta
I
have
want to
that,
rip his heart out.
You gotta have that personality.
Like, just imagine, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what when these fighters, and it usually really works when there's like a genuineness to it. When you just meet, like you said, like just a killer. When a killer can just communicate and portray that darkness, those demons that battle inside his or her mind, his or her heart on a daily basis, and they can just stare you in the eye as a reporter, and they're like, you know, or like Pereira, you know what I mean? He just knocked out, you know, Izzy again. I think it was the third time.
That dude's too big.
He won by decision once, and then
I heard he's huge.
He's huge.
I heard he's freaking.
They say he's built like a tree.
Yeah, I don't know how he makes 185, but water loading.
Yeah, I think after the fight he went in at 211.
Yeah, 211. I heard 220. I don't know, dude, but he's got like some roar or something that it's like just this sickness, this darkness. You know what I mean? Just these killers. When you can communicate that, dude. And me and my buddy, he's really big in the tech realm, real big in regard to like VC startups and just raising a bunch of money and different things like that for startup companies. And you know, we talk about it all the time, and it relates to literally every industry right now. What made the billionaires and the hyper successful individuals in this past century and these past times was the individuals that were able to monetize and capitalize off of the industrial time. You know what I mean? Just like the physical resources, oil, steel, gas. What's going to make billionaires and trillionaires in today's world in the future will be the individuals that have the most attention. Like Mr. Beast. You guys know Mr. Beast?
Yeah.
This dude turned down $1 billion deal, $1 billion offer for his YouTube channel.
Right.
Why? You know what I mean? You only turn down an offer when you have something better coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like nobody says no because they, you know what I mean? It's like, no, it's so good. I just don't want to. I don't want to take it. You keep it. You know what I mean? It's like the dude. Like, there's projections, and I've heard from individuals, that, especially watching just business things, the majority of my day, that he might be one of the first trillionaires just based off of, you know, a term that Landon and I use is identity capital. It's really not. It's because a lot of times you'll hear people say, you know, it's not what you know, but it's who you know. But people don't realize there's another half to it. It's not just who you know, but it's who knows you.
Right.
I say that to people all the time.
Yeah, bro.
And I had a friend that told me that a long time ago. He was like, you know, that saying gets kind of dry because you can say you know Kanye West.
Yeah.
But does Kanye West know you?
Does he know you? You know what I mean? It's like, do these people know you? And so, and that's really what sells, and that's what's gonna like solidify success. And I feel like if people aren't, you don't need to be a fighter, dude. I mean, you fighting for your life. You know what I mean? Essentially, it's like you're in the land of the free, and you have an opportunity to just kind of like we said in the very beginning, like, you know, go and build something of yourself. But you don't need to be a fighter to go and market yourself. You should be marketing yourself and hiring somebody like yourself, regardless. You know what I mean? Because that's the future. If you, in the future's like, when's the best time to start building for the future? Not in the future.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like right now.
Yes, absolutely. Don't wait for UFC to make you popular.
Yes.
To make you well known. You should be doing that now. UFC should be calling you as soon as they can. Say, hey man, this guy can sell tickets.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, it's a business. You know, and I tell photographers, young photographers that want to get into the industry, and you know they want to shoot fights and stuff, or shoot events, and that's great. And I tell them all the time, but there's no money in that. I said what you should be doing is contacting these fighters, these promoters, and helping them make more money.
Yeah, facts.
You know, just don't be like, oh, I like taking photos. I mean, that's cool, but like, why do you like taking photos?
Yeah.
You know, when a client comes to me, I don't ask them how many photos you want, what colors you want, none of that. I don't care about any of that. I ask, why are you looking for a creator? Who are you, like what challenges are you having? Because if I can't use my content to solve your problems, then I'm not doing my job as a creator.
Yeah.
You know, and I've learned that over the years by working with, you know, mentors, like my good friend Andreas Undergard. Very great photographer, great mentor. When I started working with him, at first, all I wanted to be was an Instagram photographer. Like, I just want to be famous, a good influencer. But then he started giving me those hard questions saying, well, why do you shoot photography? What problems are you solving with your work? Like, I will show him work and he'll literally like tell me. He don't give me like, oh, this is a great photo. He's like, well, why did you shoot it that way?
Yeah.
Who's this going to, like, who if you're a consumer, how is this solving my problems? Mm-hmm. And the more and more I started looking at that, I need to start learning the psychology of my work, because that's what, you know, Nike's doing. That's what Apple's doing, Toyota. You know, they're spending, you know, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars on marketing and content creation, because nowadays you only have like 10 to 15 seconds of someone's attention. And your job is to get that person's attention and transfer that to a lead or to a sale.
Yep.
You know, if I don't understand that shit, they're not gonna understand that.
Yep.
And like, you know, a lot of startup businesses have this mentality of a consumer mentality. You know, they look at like photography, sometimes and videography as a cost, not an investment. You know, and when you look at things as a cost, you're not looking at returns. You go to a store, you buy some clothes, that's a cost. But you go buy a house, that could be considered an investment. You go buy a car, that could be considered an investment. You buy property, that can be an investment. You're expecting return off that.
Yeah.
But if you're just simply just going into it as like, well, I just need a photographer, I just need a videographer. I mean, I understand that's what you need, but why you need it? How can I help you? And then the same thing I tell fighters. It's the exact same mentality I tell artists and fighters, the exact same thing. Fighter telling me, I want to join the UFC. I want to shoot for the UFC. But I can't go in there saying, well, I'm just a great photographer.
Yeah.
Dana White don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
no. Yeah, but what can you bring to me that I can hire like 15 versions of you for a fraction of the cost?
Yeah.
You have to separate yourself and be like, so the same way I tell fighters you have to be marketable, same thing for creators.
Every person.
Everything that you do has to be marketable.
Yeah.
Because if it's marketable, it can sell.
Yeah, literally.
It's just how it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Who is your favorite fighter, Tyler?
My favorite fighter right now, man, it's hard right now to answer the question because there's so many guys out there, and,
yeah,
and
it
I
is.
think
that is hard.
I like a lot of people's styles, right? Like if I can make one guy like a super character of everyone's styles, like pick something from each thing. I think Adesanya is up there for sure.
Yeah.
I love watching Adesanya fight. Same thing with Pereira. Pereira is really fun to watch fight as well. But it's also fun to watch guys like one of my favorite fighters is Oliveira, right?
Yeah.
Because I try to model myself after kind of what he stands for as a fighter, in that no matter where the fight goes, he can finish you. On his back, on top, on the feet, whatever. In the clinch, he's dangerous everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Just like Anthony Pettis was like one of the first guys to really like encapsulate that in his career. Like he was one of the first guys that was, I'm going to be dangerous on my feet, but if you take me down, I'm going to submit you off my back. I think that's such a dangerous combination to have in a fight, right? Because now you have someone like, man, I don't want to stand with him because I'm getting beat up, but I don't want to take him down because I don't want to get submitted. So now I'm in like no man's land, and that only benefits the other guy, right? So I would probably say my favorite fighter stylistically is Oliveira.
What about all time?
All time, man, Anderson Silva in his prime was something to behold for sure, man. Like just not even like what he put like forward as results, but the fight IQ and some of the moments that he had was just off the charts, and I don't know if we'll ever see something like that again.
I kind of feel like John Jones.
Yeah,
a little
He's
bit.
another one, man. He's another one, but we don't know anymore, right? Because like the last like 3 or 4 fights that John has had, it's been such like a rapid decline. Like he's winning the fights.
Yeah,
but
that Dominic Reyes one was close.
It's close, right?
That
Even
was
the
a weird
Thiago
fight.
Santos one was close. And these are guys who have gone on to just get their asses kicked by other dudes
Dominic
in the division.
Reyes just got annihilated.
Fell off hard.
That was bad.
Yeah.
It was like
this
4
most
fights
recent fight.
back, right?
Yeah.
He got this most recent one. He got annihilated by this dude.
Yeah, Ryan Spann knocked him out with a jab.
Yeah, that one. And it looked disgusting.
Yeah, it was no good.
I mean, that looked disgusting. And then Just these fights this past UFC 282, it was so weird, dude. I mean, you had what did you had? You had Patty.
Yeah,
that one was weird, dude. I don't know,
we'll
like.
talk about that.
Yeah, I think it's hard, man. I think right now what we're looking at, because there was a Bellator event that Friday.
Yeah.
And Rafian Stantz, who's a Milwaukee guy, fought Danny Sapatello, who's a legitimate
the
fucking
Italian
wrestler.
guy.
Yeah, right. And I think we're seeing a change in the way that fights are getting judged. Where back in 2015, even the commentators used to say like, "Oh, if he gets a takedown here, he secures the round."
Yeah.
And that's not the case anymore. Like, judging has kind of moved to, and I think it's a good move. We just have the wrong people doing it, but it's not enough to just take someone down and control them now. You have to do damage. Right? So Sapatello was taking Stotts down, but Stotts was hitting him off his back and throwing up submissions, and Sapatello was just holding him. So the judges gave it to Stotts. Like, it's the person who's working, and I think that's what we saw in the O'Malley fight a couple months ago, where they valued damage over control, and I do think that that's the right decision.
With that explanation, I agree with that more, but I was torn a little more between, because I got into fighting when it was more so takedown could secure a round. So that makes more sense with you explaining it that way. And I think if it was communicated and there was clarity to the audience, it would be received better too.
Right. But the Patty fight, I don't know what the fuck they were looking at. That was crazy. I mean, I think.
What about the Russian guy too?
The main event.
The main event. Yeah, so I fell asleep for that, so I don't know.
That was hard to say. I don't know. Like, it's kind of weird. I think it's just bad judging, right? Like to explain a little bit on how the judging works, right? The UFC doesn't hire judges, it's the state. The state hires the commission appoints the judges, and there's judges that are licensed and can go from state to state and judge wherever state they want to. But the judges are all like old boxing judges, and the point system is adopted from boxing. So it's a broken system from the start, and that's why it's been a problem. Like, if you go watch UFC 62, I guarantee there's a thing about judging in there, about how the judging needs to change. Like, it's been an issue all over the years. They need to change it, because it's not the system for fighting. But like, for instance, the guy who he judged the Ankalaev fight and the Patty fight, in which both of them I think he got wrong, right? He also judged Sapatello and Stotts, and Stotts pretty clearly won the fight.
Yeah.
He gave all 3 rounds to Sapatello, but then flew 10 hours to the other event on Saturday and judged it again and fucked up 2 more decisions, But, like, I think that main event that you were talking about, Ankalaev and Blachowicz, is a good example of how the system's broken. How the fuck do you have a draw in an uneven amount of rounds? There's 5 rounds. How is it a draw?
Yeah.
One person won each round. How is that possible? You know what I mean? So there's something that needs to change. There's a place on Instagram, they're called Verdict.
Okay.
And it's like a cumulative community scoring of the fights.
Yep.
And that's what it should be. It should be a group of people who are appointed by the commission watching the fight. Everyone votes.
Like jury duty?
Yeah, a little bit like jury duty, except with like retared fighters or coaches.
I think it would need to be retired fighters.
Yeah, retired fighters. You had to have someone. Like the people in there now,
if it's the Nelk boys, it might sway to like
whoever's more popular
every time.
Yeah. No, I think you got to get black belts in there. You got to get retired kickboxers and fighters in there. Like, get people who know what the fuck they're looking at to judge it, right? Because you talked about it a little bit. Fighting is not. You go in there with a lot to lose, way more. Even if you're making bank,
I've heard it a few times. You're not playing.
No, even if you're making bank, like some of these guys are making $500K to step in there. You could lose a lot more than money when you get in there and you have a bad performance, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
Especially like these judges are taking, the way the UFC pay structure work is show and win bonus, right?
Yeah.
So if this fucking guy who's 82 years old, who doesn't even know what he's watching, is taking away half of my money because he shouldn't have the job that he has.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
It should be in the hands of experts, not in the hands of people who don't know what they're doing. It almost seems like on the amateur side, we get a better look at good judging because it's people who really enjoy the sport and really love to be there. It's not so political, right? It's the guy, I know a guy who, one of the judges, he's a really good guy, and he loves the sport. He's trained forever, and he knows what he's looking at. But these guys in the UFC level or in Vegas, in New York, they're elected officials, and they're not giving up that giving up that spot. They're getting paid to watch fights. They don't give a shit.
Absolutely.
You know? So it's a weird issue.
That's a very good way to put it. They're getting paid to watch fights, not judge it.
Yes,
exactly.
They're not judging, they're just watching.
Bro.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
UFC 283. Biggest fight I'm looking at on here is you got Figueiredo and Moreno again. Now they've gone 1, 1, and 1.
Right.
So one's lost one, one's won one,
And draw.
and then one draw. How do you think this turns out?
Man, it's a tough fight, right? Especially when we see it a lot in training, right? Like you could probably relate to this. Like you drill with someone enough, you go live with someone enough, they know your shit.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone who trains with me at Intercept knows I'm going for X, Y, and Z, and I can't get that stuff anymore, you know? So it's going to be interesting in this fight, and we've never seen in the UFC someone fight 4 times.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see either what new things they're bringing to the table for this fight, or what things just don't work anymore. Because if you watch those fight back, they're pretty. Like Moreno's victory was clear as day. Like he beat the brakes off of him the second time they fought, and the Figueiredo one I think was pretty close when he won.
Yeah, it was close.
So it's, and then the last fight was super fucking close too. So it's, I mean it's gonna be interesting, man. I'm excited about that. And then they added another title fight on that card too, right?
I think it's Glover.
Glover Teixeira and
Jamal
Hill. That's another good fight. Glover's just, I think Glover's going to take him down and submit him, though.
Yeah, I think that looks like he's going to destroy him. So, what are you guys, I want to get a couple more thoughts from you guys. What are your thoughts on Jake Paul's fights?
Oh, well, here's the thing about when people talk about that. I will say that he's not like, could I say it's rigged? It could be, but to be honest, I feel like Anderson Silva, I highly doubt the person that he is would sell out like that. But, I mean, when you got millions of dollars in your face and you say just take a hit, maybe you might.
That's what I think, too. But one of the biggest individuals I look up to in podcasting, Joe Rogan, and, I mean, he's been watching fights for 20-plus, 30-plus years, and I don't know, maybe Jake sent him $1 million, too, just to say my fights are legit. I have no idea. But I'm not saying Jake Paul doesn't look like a legitimate fighter.
Yeah.
He looks like he can flow. He looks like he's got a smooth standing game. It's gotten a lot better, and I think his coach is somebody that coached, I don't know who, it was a professional boxing coach. A legitimate, credible coach.
This is the thing with him, man. The dude can fucking fight. It doesn't matter, like and exactly what Rogan says, if you didn't know who Jake Paul was and you just saw him as the boxer who was knocking out old UFC vets, you would think this dude's a badass. Like, the kid can fucking fight, and the team that he has behind him is extremely smart on how they're planning them going through this, right? Like, if you look at the people he's fought, it makes perfect sense. Ben Askren can't fucking box a amputee. He would lose that match, right?
Yeah.
And Tyron Woodley has had a spotty career. Like, he's failed to pull the trigger his entire career on times. Another smart fight. Anderson Silva, a guy who has never been known for one-punch knockout power in his career. It's always been cumulative. It's always been Muay Thai based.
Yeah.
He has knockouts with his hands, but it's never been like, oh, Anderson's going to box your face off.
Yeah.
Smart move, right? That's a smart move to box. Because Anderson is such a big name that if you get a win over him, they're like, damn, Jake's legit.
Yeah.
And you know that you're probably not going to get slept.
Yeah.
Right? So it's smart. Like, he's got the team that he has working behind him is picking the right fights for him. They're taking the right opportunities to cash in. It's really, like, it's interesting to watch it happen. We talk about marketability.
How's he do against a professional boxer, though? Like, how's he do against a Gervonta Davis?
Oh, he gets smoked.
Yeah.
He gets smoked.
Definitely.
But that's not what he is, right?
Yeah,
I think you have to look at it like he's trying to live a Rocky story.
Yeah.
Like, he is a guy that has a lot of money. So think of him as an amateur fighting a bunch of, like, scrubs throughout his whole process, because he can't put him there with a killer because he's gonna get murdered.
Yeah.
So what he does is they, like you said, they strategically put him against fighters that are well known to build up his brand.
It's kind of like rolling with, like, you ever rolled with a black belt that's like in their 60s, 70s, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like an old
yeah.
black belt. It's like they're not it's not that they're not a black belt.
Yeah.
They're still a black belt. It's just they're not going to beat you.
Yeah,
Right,
you know what I mean?
They're older, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they got the technique and everything, but it's like I rolled with a black belt maybe a month ago, and I did, like, it was like rolling with a girl. You know what I mean? This dude, kudos to him. He had to been in his, like, 70s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Still on the mats and everything. But this dude's, you know what I mean, probably 160 pounds. 80 years old, 75 years old, sweet ass old dude. You know what I mean? Just loads of wisdom. And but it's like I'm thinking of him like, you know, like kind of like with Anderson Silva. It's like this dude's 50 years old, but I still feel like Anderson Silva would fuck somebody up, and it's like full everything goes.
Hell yeah,
like
bro.
Jake Paul, like they get in a UFC ring. Nah, that
would
doesn't
knock
turn
him out.
Yeah,
and knees and submissions
bro.
and all that shit comes to play. You know,
when Anderson Silva got the tie clinches.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was lights out.
Yeah, I just think right now, like a lot of people, like I talked to a lot of fighters about it, and they say, you know, they don't like Jake Paul. He's not a real boxer, and I tell them like that. I think a lot of people like it's funny because David Goggins was on a podcast with Joe Rogan. He made this quote saying, you know, he was like, a lot of you'll never meet a hater that's doing better than you.
Yeah.
And I tell fighters, I say, don't be upset because this kid figured out how to market himself and make money.
More
he had
better
like
than
what,
you. Yeah.
4 or 6 fights, and he made $60 million.
Honestly, it's beneficial to fighters because he'll bring attention to different areas or different like fighting groups that haven't been heard of.
Right.
And they wouldn't have made the money without Jake Paul.
Like now you're seeing a lot of fighters in like not even fighters, you see celebrities starting to get in boxing matches now because they're starting to see that there's a bigger demographic going towards that sport because these YouTubers are making a lot of money fighting each other.
Yeah.
Right. And I get it, like a lot of these fighters, it's the culture of it. They're like they don't respect the culture, they don't respect the sport. I get it, I understand it, but you also have to look at it as it's a business.
Yep.
You know, take your pride, leave it at the door. You know, I get you're a great fighter, and you can probably beat the shit out of Jake Paul, but you'll never get that opportunity because you're not marketable.
Yeah, nobody knows you.
Yeah, nobody knows you. Now, if you were putting out numbers and views, and you was on Jake Paul's radar, get that money.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him and Andrew Tate fight in a kickboxing match.
Yeah. In kickboxing, Tate's gonna fuck him up.
Yeah. In a boxing match, I just think Jake is young. He does have knockout power.
Yeah.
He has a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, he does.
He wants to prove to the world that I'm not like, I was this kid back then on YouTube, Disney, doing stupid stuff. But he definitely has a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Like he a dog.
Yeah.
And he just continued to push that envelope. And he's smart. He's like, no, I'm not gonna fight, Devon Haley or fucking Ryan Garcia. I'm not gonna fight these type of kids because they will fuck me up.
And the second he loses, it all goes away.
Yeah.
No one will ever watch it again.
Professional, like I mean, the only boxer I know that he could have beat was Tommy Fury.
Yeah. He wins that fight.
I think I definitely believe he'll win that fight. Tommy Fury is not like his family.
Yeah, I don't even know who the fuck Tommy Fury is.
Yeah, he's Tyson Fury's brother.
He's a pretty boys like reality TV show type of guy.
Yeah, wasn't he on like one of those Netflix shows?
Yeah, he was on one of
those
shows.
dating shows.
Bro, even his family said if you lose against Jake Paul, you can't use your name.
Over.
Yeah.
How much confidence do you have after your brother just told you?
Oh man,
you go like, hey man, if you lose this fight against the scrub, you can't use our name.
His brother's a freak too.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury's a freak.
Insane.
Bro.
To be that big and move that quick.
We'll never see that again.
No. Or it'd be a long time. We won't be here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck yeah.
What's up with USADA and Conor McGregor? How do he go from McGregor to McHulk?
Well, I think he's doing a smart thing, and he's doing a similar thing. Like there was a bunch of headlines that just came out saying that TJ Dillashaw retired, and I think they just did the same thing. Is they leave the USADA testing pool, right? They say they're retired or they're taking an extended amount of time off. They juice to the gills, and then by the time they enter the USADA testing pool again, the steroids are out of their system, so they're not going to test positive. So like when you retire, you get automatically removed from USADA. That's what happened to Cejudo too. You retire, you claim you're retiring, you get removed, then you don't get tested. You take any steroid or TRT, whatever you want to take to fix your body up, and then you get back in the mix when it's out of your system and you're ready to go. And I think that's what a lot of these guys are doing. Conor probably, I'd be surprised, maybe one more fight. That's what I would give it.
I feel like that's
maybe
it.
one more. I mean, he's acting. He's in fucking Roadhouse. Like, he's doing all this shit. You don't,
he doesn't need to fight. He's on yachts having parties.
Right. Back to that Hagler quote, bro. Like, it's hard to get up and run when you're in satin sheets. It's hard to get up and, dude, training camp is not fucking fun, right? Like this, preparing for a fight is not fucking fun. Fighting isn't even that fucking fun.
Yeah.
Right? The reason I do it, I'm purely self-motivated. Yeah. I like to fucking suffer. I like to get in there and endure. That's what I like to do.
Yes.
And I know that the easiest way for me and the best way for me to like get as much shit and travel through as much pain as possible is to prepare for a fight. You know, fight camp, all that shit. It's hard. It's hard fucking work. You mentioned David Goggins. I'm obsessed with David Goggins.
Yes.
Dude. I've read both of his books. Like, his other book just came out. I just finished it. The first one I read like 10 times.
Not finished.
Yeah, never finished, bro. And he's got so much fucking gold in there. And people see him talk and they think it's just the alpha male guy who's talking about,
no, he's the real,
you know, being
deal.
being a dog and pushing forward. No, man, he's got fucking gold in those books. I've taken so much shit from him and applied it to this camp, or it's changed the way that I think about everything in life.
Imagine rolling with him.
Fuck, bro.
He'd be like,
imagine running with
better
him.
What's his face that like doesn't tap? What's the dude's name? He went with Oliveira and let him just yank on his heel.
Tony Ferguson.
Tony Ferguson.
Yeah. That's the thing.
That'd be like Goggins. Just
we gotta hope that Goggins doesn't get into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Or else we're all fucked.
Yeah, and he barely has knees.
Yeah, he doesn't even have them anymore.
Let's wrap up with future vision. You know what I mean? Where do you both see yourself 5, 10 years from now? What's the goal? What's the vision?
Well, we got this documentary coming out, right? So we're gonna see where that kind of takes us and where that lands us in terms of putting ourselves out there, right? We talked earlier about getting yourself out there and putting yourself in a position to be marketable. Within 5 years, I'm going to be in a big show.
Yes.
Bellator, UFC, whatever's coming around, I'm going to be there. Wherever the opportunities are, I'm taking them. I don't have a plan B, and I don't plan on doing anything else but fucking getting after it on the fighting or jiu-jitsu scene for the next 5 years. 10 years, I'd like to own a gym.
Yes.
I'd like to be done fighting and own a gym. But for right now, I'm solely focused on my professional and athletic career, and I'm just going to be fucking hyper focused on achieving goals, seeing how far I can get athletically, and then when it's all said and done, I could lay it out on the table and say, all right, I'm ready to open a gym now.
Yeah, love it. What about you, Angelo?
For me, is to continue helping fighters like Tyler.
Yeah.
Really get more invested into that market in the industry because I truly love it.
Yeah.
So 5 years from now is to actually have my own like agency helping fighters start up their businesses, start up their brands, make them more marketable, be able to have a facility for them not only to be there to train at, and then 10 years down the line, I want to start my own promotions.
Yeah.
I think I tell Tyler at the time, I think you guys are modern day gladiators.
Yeah.
And I truly love the sport. I'm actually encouraged to start doing jiu-jitsu myself.
Yeah.
And I want to compete. I feel like if you don't compete, you don't know yourself.
You gotta try it at least once.
Yeah. So yeah, most definitely I want to be that resource for like if someone's like I said, there's no blueprint, there's no college, there's no draft for fighters. It's like so I want to be that resource for those people that like, man, I want to fight. Yeah. And I want them to know, like, I want to go to Angelo's facility, his agency, his gyms, to, like, you know, you never know. Me and Tyler partner up. I help. He trains them. I manage them. Yeah. We put him in a spot. We got promotions. That's the goal in life.
You jump in, too. Adversity Kings Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
There you go.
AK Jiu-Jitsu. Sounds kind of scary. AK-47 Jiu-Jitsu or something.
Let's fucking go.
All right, well, where can people find you guys?
On Instagram at Angelo Marr Amp Visuals.
For me, Funky Bones Jones on Instagram, and then like we talked about, probably like April, you would say. Documentaries coming out. I'm Only Human, following just my story as a fighter, fight camp. You know, we've talked to my parents, my girlfriend, my coaches. A very in-depth interview by Angelo and Sonic Productions with Andy Adamas.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge project.
Yeah, you can follow that account. It's called I'm Only Human Movie.
Let's go. Well, this was fire. Make sure you guys stay tuned, and thank you for watching another episode of Adversity Kings. If you like it, please share, subscribe, check these guys out. They brought a lot of value today. This was fun.